December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. The sleeping giant has awoken. The United States will go to war. An actor, a patriot, a pilot. Like his father and grandfather before him, this simple American actor will prepare to serve his country. By the late 1930s, James Stewart's career had taken off with success in films such as Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and You Can't Take It With You. With the inevitable cloud of war, Stewart set his eye on a new role unlike any other he had taken on before, the U.S. Army Air Corps. Prior to the war, Stewart had shown a keen interest in aviation, acquiring his commercial pilot's license with 500 hours of logged airtime, along with his own private pilot's license, in which he made use of in his very own plane, the Stinson 150. With the drawing of draft number 310, it appeared that Stewart was well on his way to military service, yet an unexpected obstacle would present itself. Even though he was 6'3", he only weighed a grand total of 138 pounds. The United States military turned him away for not meeting the minimum weight requirement for enlisted men. Yet, Jimmy was a persistent man. With a steady diet of spaghetti and meatballs every day, twice a day, along with plenty of steak and milkshakes, he managed to put on the extra weight required for enlisted men. Later in 1941, he attended a second physical in which he was yet again deemed unfit for service in the United States military. But Stewart had managed to talk the doctors into adding a few extra ounces to his total weight so that he could qualify for the service. He was so overwhelmed with excitement that he ran outside yelling, I'm in! I'm in!" to fellow actor Burgess Meredith. Mr. Stewart will go to war. On March 22nd, 1941, Private James Stewart was inducted into the United States military. He attended Moffett Field in California, where he received his basic training. Early in his military career, he was used for publicity on behalf of the U.S. Army Air Corps, appearing in films such as Winning Your Wings and Fellow Soldiers. Stewart disliked the efforts of the military taking advantage of his career, so he requested to have more flight time and was eventually sent to Kirkland Field, where he attended bombardier school. In January of 1944, he was promoted to major and commanded all 4 squadrons of the 445th Bomb Group. Throughout the course of the war, Stewart had many brushes with death, yet luckily managed to complete his service unscathed. His closest brush with death was on February the 25th of 1944, when a piece of flak tore through Stewart's aircraft. He managed to fly the half-crippled B-24 back to base with a successful landing. Stewart jested, "Sergeant, somebody sure could get hurt in one of those damned things." In April of 1945, Stewart was promoted to Colonel and Chief of Staff of the 2nd Air Division. It was at this point that his hair began to gray under the stress. The war would get to everyone, even a guy like James Stewart. Fear is an insidious thing, he said. It can warp judgment, freeze reflexes, breed mistakes, and worse, it's contagious. I felt my own fear, and I knew that it wasn't checked. I could infect my crew members. By the war's end, he had piloted an impressive total of 25 combat missions. Stewart returned to the States, waiting at the gangplank for each one of his men to come ashore. A lavish party had been prepared in Hollywood for him, at which he said, "Thousands of men in uniform did far more meaningful things." Later in his life, he would come to explain that World War II was something I think about almost every day, one of the greatest experiences of my life. When asked if it was much better than being in the pictures, he replied, "Much greater."